Hello, True Health Seeker. Well, today's going to be a really fun interview. I was recently interviewed on the Alive and Well podcast, and I thought it was such a fun interview that I wanted to share it with you as well. So there's a nice clip from the interview in today's episode. I also wanted to let you know that for Memorial Day weekend, I'm giving my anxiety program away for 50% off. So if it's something that truly interests you to eliminate anxiety, in fact, my program guarantees that it'll eliminate your anxiety by the end of the workshop or your money back. And so if you have anxiety, or if you have a friend with anxiety who no longer wishes to have anxiety, then please check out the show notes of the podcast. And then when you go to click on the link, you put in the coupon code thank you, all one word, and it will give you 50% off. For the next few days, I'm giving as a Memorial Day sale. You know, Memorial Day is supposed to be about remembering and being grateful for those who served in the military to protect our freedom and peace. My grandfather served in the war, and I think about often how grateful I am for the sacrifices that my family has made and my generations before me have made to protect us. I don't necessarily agree with violence, but I do really appreciate and I'm grateful for and I'm thankful for those who have laid their life on the line to protect us. And so for me, Memorial Day is also about gratitude and about being thankful. And so as I thought about what I'm grateful for and what I'm thankful for, I realized I should really give back to you guys. And that's why I decided to create this 50% off sale. So anyone who has anxiety, I want to make sure that it's completely affordable for you to take the training. Please go to the show notes of this episode and you'll find the link so that you can take my Free Your Anxiety workshop 50% off. I'd love to also hear from you. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, ashley@learntruehealth.com. Thank you so much for being a listener. Thank you so much for sharing this podcast with your friends and family to get their health back. Together, we're turning this ripple into a tidal wave and helping as many people as possible to learn true health. Enjoy today's interview and have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 261.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks so much for being here with me today.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. It's such an honor to have you. I know that your podcast is full of just amazing interviews that I've enjoyed myself. You interviewed so many interesting people who have so much good information to say. So it's really an honor to have you. And I wondered if you could just start by letting us know how you got your start with holistic health. What made you interested in it, and why did you start your podcast?
When I was a kid, I was really sick. Just all the time I had sort of those ear infections and throat infections. And my mom also had candida, and this was sort of not really well known in the 80s, but she stumbled upon a naturopathic physician, and I remember my life completely changing. I went from being sick all the time to no longer being sick and feeling amazing.
Wow.
He changed our diet. He said, you're allergic to milk, yeast, wheat, and sugar. And what I didn't realize at the time is that he actually told everyone that. He thinks that, everyone shouldn't eat milk, yeast, wheat, and sugar. And this was back in the 80s when no one knew what like gluten was, but he saw in his patients that if he got them off of grains for the most part, that they would get better. And if he got them on some supplements and had them eat more of a whole foods diet, he wasn't like promoting like vegetarian necessarily. It was just eat more real food. Like this is a chicken breast, this is broccoli, and so I grew up really weird childhood in that I kind of grew up hanging out in the health food store. I would eat Rice Dream instead of ice cream. We had soy milk instead of regular milk. This is, of course, back before it was GMO. And I was super healthy until I was about 13 years old, and I decided to completely rebel. And as any child who's grown up with a really strict diet will do. I have learned
Mm-hmm.
from personal experience. And so I completely rebelled. I decided to eat all the cafeteria food and Halloween candy, and I immediately got sick. And I started just, my health went downhill. And it was a very interesting time in my teen years. Thinking I was eating healthy because I was following, at the time I grew up in Canada, I was eating, the standard Canadian diet. I was eating lots of whole wheat. I was thinking, okay, well, that's healthy, right? Whole wheat bread's healthy, with, eating Subway sandwiches with lots of vegetables, that's healthy. And yet I kept, my health kept going downhill. And so in my 20s, I developed type 2 diabetes, chronic adrenal fatigue. When I was 19 years old, I was told I'd never have kids. I had really bad case of polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I had
Mm-hmm.
chronic infections. And so I was chronically being put on antibiotics. And I felt like a prisoner of my own body. I was hungry all the time. I would just break into tears all the time because I felt my body was out of control. And no matter how much I ate, I was always hungry. And my mood swings were going nuts, and I was always exhausted. And that was my life, and I thought, this is my prison. And then my husband and I started watching these health documentaries that started to come out, and we decided to shop the perimeter of the grocery store and eat organic. And my childhood began to come back to me. I began to remember what it was like to have health again. I noticed when we went organic, we didn't change really. We were still eating, dairy and gluten and all and sugar, but we just decided to go organic, and my chronic infections stopped. And I thought, that was one
Oh.
change, and look at, my quality of life just went up. And so then
Oh.
from there, we went on to try different diets, started studying, different naturopathic physicians' information. And about 7 years ago, we came across a naturopathic physician that we actually like hooked onto, and he became our mentor, and we started studying with him and traveling with him. And through that, I was able to reverse my type 2 diabetes, completely get rid of
Wow.
polycystic ovarian syndrome. My husband and I tried for 6 years to have a child, but with natural medicine, just natural medicine changes, we conceived a healthy boy. He's now 3 years old, and he's amazing.
Mm.
And
Oh.
so in the last 7 years, our life, I mean, we feel so blessed. And my husband has had
Yeah.
wonderful health changes, and we started helping our friends and family, and they started having health changes. I had helped a friend who had he was passing one kidney stone a month. He was chronically in
Oh my
pain.
gosh.
And I had, with all this information, I was able to help him. And he, took what I told him. And that same month, the kidney stone stopped. And that was 7 years ago, and they've never returned. So this information
Oh.
that I learned from these naturopaths on supplements and diet and lifestyle changes, they're little changes that don't take that much time or energy or thought to implement, but they make
Mm-hmm.
huge and lasting results. I have a friend who's in her 60s, and she was born with a genetic skin condition called ichthyosis that basically left 90% of her body covered in scales. And
Oh
she
wow.
tried absolutely everything. And then, like I said, about 7 years ago, when I was getting into this, I told her what this doctor said to do, and she did it. And to this day, now she has zero ichthyosis, something that she was told was genetic.
Mm.
All she has is maybe a tiny bit of dry skin in one part of her body, but other than that, she built her body, recreated new healthy skin that she'd never had in her 60s. And so this is a great example of,
Wow.
no matter how old you are, your body can heal. Don't listen to the MDs if they told you it's genetic, if they told you, this is your life sentence, if they tried to get you on, metformin or some kind of drug for diabetes for the rest of your life. It's complete BS. Your body can heal. You can absolutely
Mm-hmm.
reverse your medical conditions. A diagnosis is not a life sentence. Even those that
Right.
let's say you've had your thyroid taken out, or you're type 1 diabetic, there are natural things you can do to absolutely improve the quality of your life. And so about 2 years ago, I was thinking, how can I get this information out there? I've helped dozens of people. In fact, actually, I've helped about over 300 people personally, one-on-one, coaching
Wow.
them and helping them transform their health. Um, in the last 7 years, and just really sitting down and working with them with their diet and supplements, and seeing how far we can take their health. And 2 years ago, it finally just hit us. We need to get this information out there. And so we started the Learn to Health podcast because no matter what, we're never done. Like, I'm still on my health journey. I'm
Hmm.
still learning how to improve health, because there's no end point, right? We just keep getting better and better.
Right.
And so I feel like I'm on this awesome health journey every time I interview these holistic health practitioners on my show, and the listeners are with me. And so we're all together learning and growing. And I share what I'm doing. I went from being very like keto and paleo to being primarily a vegetarian and whole foods diet in the last year. And I'm not saying that I'm not promoting any one particular diet. That's a big part of my show, is to not um, buy into any diet dogma. It's about the experience of shifting how you eat to feel your body and see if you get better results. And so I believe there's a time and a place for the ketogenic diet. And I believe there's a time and a place for a whole foods plant-based diet. I believe there's a time and a place for many healing diets. When I say diet, I don't mean
Hmm.
just weight loss. I mean, how are you fueling the 37
Right.
0.5 trillion cells in your body? How are you delivering nutrients to all those trillions of cells? And so we need to look at diet as, how are we building? Are we building ourselves up, or are we tearing ourselves down? And if we can let go of this idea that weight loss is the goal and have it be a symptom of a truly
Hmm.
healing lifestyle, then we'll get far more results than just weight loss with our diet, or maintaining a weight with our diet. So I'm not perfect. I don't think anyone should be perfect, but we can all strive for better and better health. And yeah, I've
Yeah.
learned so much in the last the last 2 years. Our show has over 2.5 million downloads. We're going to be publishing episode 255 this week. So I've interviewed over 200 holistic health experts. Sometimes I have them come back on the show a few times, but it's been over 200 health experts, and experts like Dr. Joel Furman, Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Carolyn Dean, like really amazing doctors and naturopaths. And we have health coaches and psychologists. And it's not just about physical health. We have experts about
Hmm.
energetic health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, and physical health.
Yeah.
And addressing every single part of our life. So sleep and energy and hormones and autoimmune and boosting the immune system. And we have a great episodes on whether we should vaccinate or not, how we can best support our children. The list goes on and on.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. That is incredible. And I can't believe you were able to reverse your type 2 diabetes.
It's
That's
actually the
incredible.
easiest. It was out of everything, it was the easiest thing within 3 months. And I've
Really?
helped
Wow.
dozens of people do that. Within 3 months, you can no longer be type 2 diabetic. It's super easy. It is
Wow.
absolutely food, and in some cases supplements. What's really interesting, in the 1950s, science, and you can wiki this. It's
Hmm.
all public knowledge. A scientist was able to create diabetes, so basically create type 2 diabetes in rats, and then heal the type 2 diabetes in rats. And the only thing he did was remove one nutrient from their pellets. So you know how rats are in an isolated environment in a lab where
Hmm.
all the nutrients they get's in that one pellet. And so what he did was he removed chromium, which is a trace mineral that the body needs in order to have insulin work inside with the cell. And so chromium's supposed to be inside the cell, along with vanadium and about 16 other trace minerals the cell needs in order to have insulin and glucose, all that dance that happens, work correctly.
Hmm.
And if you don't have chromium, if you're really chromium starved, then insulin resistance will happen, because the body will create more and more and more and more insulin to try to tell the cell to open up and let glucose in. And if you don't have the healthy levels of not just chromium, I don't want everyone to just like run out to the grocery store or whatever, run out to Whole Foods and buy chromium. That's not the point. You need to actually have your minerals in balance with other minerals. I
Yeah.
really don't, and this is through all my research and all working with all these other naturopaths and seeing all these results. The best thing to do is to get all 60 minerals together in a combination that is plant derived, that is really easy to absorb. So there's ways to do that, and I do teach that. I love to help
Hmm.
people, basically anyone who's listening who wants to gain healthy blood sugar, please contact me. I love sharing this information because no one needs to live that way. No one needs to be a prisoner of their own body like I was. You can absolutely change it.
Right.
It mainly is diet, and then like I said, in some cases, if there is a mineral deficiency, sometimes just taking those minerals that the body needs to make insulin work correctly, it's like a night and day difference. And that for me, that was it.
Yeah.
When I implemented that, it was within 24 hours my blood sugar began to balance. Within 5 days I was feeling like a whole new person, and within 3 months I was no longer diabetic. But I also made diet changes because we cannot eat the standard American diet and then think we can just take supplements and gain health. It just, you cannot out supplement a
Hmm.
bad diet.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the six minerals that are, is it the six minerals that are essential for
Oh, I'm
insulin
sorry, I said
production?
60. No, there's 60 essential
Oh,
minerals, and
60.
yeah,
Oh,
there's
wow.
60 essential minerals and
Gotcha.
elements the body needs to function. Just like there's
Oh,
16
wow.
vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 2 essential fatty acids. So those are called
Wow.
micronutrients, and then macronutrients being,
Hmm.
carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. But then,
Right.
so we think we know everything about nutrition when we know there's macronutrients, there's micronutrients, but then there's a whole other section of nutrients, which is all of the phytochemicals. In broccoli, there's 1,000 different phytochemicals. And so we really need to eat a whole foods plant-based diet. And like I said, I'm not saying you have to cut out meat if you like, I don't want to scare people away from it, because I went
Hmm.
into this kicking and screaming. I loved meat. But when I learned that we can do something called crowding out. So I'll give you an example. You could have a meatless meal and still feel really full and really good because people are going, "Where's the protein? How could I possibly get protein if I
Hmm.
eat a bunch of vegetables?" There's 18 grams of protein in 1 cup of legumes. So if you're having this
Wow.
beautiful lentil, like a nice cup of lentils, you can go to if you don't cook and you're going, well, I don't cook, how am I going to do this? Trader Joe's sells pre-cooked lentils, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
under, I think it's like $3 or $2. It's like this really, it's cool package. It's usually sort of near, in between like the hot dogs and the salads, somewhere in there, and near the beet, near the like this little package of beets, are the lentils. And so if I'm like in a rush, because normally when I do cook, which I do often, I will soak for 24 hours, soak my beans or actually I'll soak my nuts. I'll soak
Mm.
my beans. I will soak my lentils, any legume, to rehydrate them, because so then cooking takes less time, but also to remove the phytic acid and the sugars that live sort of in between the skin of the legume and the actual legume itself, um, that our body has problems digesting. So, people go, I can't eat beans because I get, too gassy.
Yeah.
And if you soak them for 24 hours, you will get significantly less gas. It's really great.
Oh, wow.
So you soak them in just a big bunch of water. Leave it. You don't have to put it in the fridge. Just leave it on the counter. Just put some parchment paper over it, or something over
Hmm.
it. Just, if you're worried, I just leave it there on the counter, and I just let it breathe. And you can leave it there for up to 3 days. It actually begins to ferment. And don't be afraid of fermented foods. That's another thing. Legumes
Yeah.
that have just begun to ferment, um, have a wonderful flavor to them. They start to become
Mm.
pre-digested. Of course, the bacteria is killed when you cook it, so it's a little bit different. But there's a different
Hmm.
nutrient. There's something different that happens to the nutrition of the legumes after you've just soaked them for like 2 or 3 days and let them just start to ferment on your kitchen counter. Um, it's more absorbed by the body. It's easier to digest. You'll definitely notice you're significantly less gassy from eating those. So when I learned that 1 cup of lentils was 18 grams of protein, that was it. That
Hmm.
allowed me to go, okay, you know what? I can do this. I can eat some meals that didn't have meat. And that was sort of my gateway into
Right.
being mostly vegetarian. But for me, it's been one meal at a time, one step at a time, and just feeling my body and going, like, let's say an hour after the meal, do I feel totally energized and amazing? And 3 hours after the meal, Do I still feel satiated and healthy and happy? It just takes that trial and error and practice. But like I said with broccoli, and Dr. Joel Furman talks about this, that, things like eating broccoli raw and chewing, just the act of chewing, you are creating chemicals. And when you chew broccoli
Mm.
raw, when you chew certain like cabbage and kale, when you chew them raw, you're creating chemicals that have anti-cancer properties. And he
Oh, wow.
outlines that if you eat half a cup of mushrooms, and it really doesn't matter what kind of mushrooms, it could be the really cheap, just white mushrooms, and you could cook them,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to cook them with oil or butter. You can actually just saute them with a bit of broth or a bit of water. But cook the
Mm-hmm.
mushrooms, take some onions, take a little bit of white onion or pretty much any onion, and stir fry them or saute them with a little bit of broth for a few minutes, for about 6 minutes, and add that to your salad, add that to your brown rice or your lentils or whatever you're eating that day. Half a cup of mushrooms, a little bit of onion. Those two things will significantly reduce your chance of ever getting cancer. And he
Wow.
outlines, in both in our interview and in a lot of his books, he outlines why. And it's so cool that we can look at the
Mm.
science now and see that, yeah, if you eat broccoli every day, you are helping your body to break down excess estrogen your body doesn't need. You're helping your liver, you're helping your heart, you're helping your eyesight. It's really anti-cancer, and it promotes longevity. So something as simple as making sure you're getting 6 to 8 cups of variety of vegetables every day will have a massive impact on your health. And when we don't get enough
Yeah.
fiber from vegetables, so our liver removes toxins from our body, including, for those who are listening that are women, including excess estrogen, or the estrogen left over the body doesn't need. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
put into the colon. So the liver puts it into the bile, that puts it into the small intestines, that, so that it can be removed as stool. But if we don't eat any fiber, if we're eating the standard American diet, and by fiber I mean, are you eating your broccoli? Are you eating an apple? Are you having some nuts? Are you really eating not just a salad of iceberg lettuce, but you're eating a salad with tomatoes and onions and cucumbers and some sliced up raw zucchini, um, and all that good stuff. That's the fiber you want to get. And the fiber binds to all the toxins that's been removed by your liver. So it ensures that it gets out of your body, including the toxins that are obesogens, environmental
Mm.
toxins and pollutants, that if you don't have fiber, your body likely will reabsorb some of it, and will actually, if you have constipation with that, because you're dehydrated, because you're again eating the standard American diet, what your body does is it reabsorbs some of those toxins, which then promote fat storage, because the body then will create more adipose tissue, create more fat, in order to store the toxins from that the body is having problems getting rid of. And so if you're kind of like struggling with your weight and
Wow.
you're going, why I've got these 10 pounds and I can't lose it, well, likely your body just can't get rid of the toxins. And so if you just go nuts with the fiber, and I don't mean get the Metamucil out, I mean fiber from whole foods. So eat 6 to 8 cups of vegetables. It takes a few weeks to get used to that, because your stomach is likely smaller, because you're used to eating foods that are really calorie dense. So baked goods,
Mm.
for example, bread is highly calorie dense. It's like something like 1,200 calories a pound, whereas vegetables are about 100 to 300 calories a pound. So you're going to have to eat more pounds to get the same
Mm-hmm.
amount of calories. But that's a good thing, because all that fiber. So fill your plate up. Like get a salad so big with 10 different kinds of vegetables that it scares people. They go, "You're going to eat that much salad?" Yeah, that's good. That means that salad was big enough. And just fill up, and it's okay to eat every 2 to 3 hours, as long as it's fruits and vegetables. But notice what happens to your digestion. Notice that you have more bowel movements, which is good. And you want 3 a
Mm-hmm.
day. And then what happens is your body's actually getting rid of all those toxins. It is so, so healing, especially for those who have hormone issues, because it's going to actually help the body to remove the excess estrogen instead of reabsorb it. So just trying that out as a health tip, try it for the next,
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks. Just go, okay, I commit. No matter what else I eat, I commit. I'm not going to tell you to, there's so many things I could tell you not to eat, but instead of scaring people, I'm just going to
Right.
say, you know what? eat the way you eat, but just add 6 to 8 cups of leafy green vegetables and fruits back to your diet. Just no matter what else you eat, make sure you do that first. So you get to eat your
Hmm.
6 to 8 cups of vegetables first and some fruit, and then you can have whatever else you have. But you do that for 2 weeks, you're going to really see a big difference in your digestion. And you might also see a difference in your waistline because your body is just
Yeah.
starting to finally be able to get rid of those toxins.
Right. So what types of vegetables would you suggest then for that person who, has 10 pounds that they're really trying to lose and they just can't? What types of vegetables do you think would be the best?
First thing I would say is the vegetables you like. Because if I to tell you
Oh, yeah,
something,
that's a good point.
if I tell you broccoli and you hate broccoli, that's you're not going to do what I said. So,
Yeah.
what I also coach my clients to do is first of all start with the things you like. So, what do you like? What really gets you excited? Because some rare people out there that go, "I hate all vegetables." Well, you know what? I recommend reading the book The Pleasure Trap by Dr. Lyle and Dr. Goldhammer. And I had Dr. Goldhammer on my
Hmm.
show. He is absolutely phenomenal. He's very outspoken and really blunt and to the point. But The Pleasure Trap is a fantastic book that outlines the dopamine response in the brain has been completely hijacked from hyper palatable foods. So if we were raised on McDonald's, any food with MSG, so if you eat Doritos, even once in your life, you've had MSG, and MSG, added salt, like added sodium, added sugar, all of that. What it does is it hijacks the brain. So now you've been hijacked just like a heroin addict has been hijacked. Food addiction
Oh,
is real because they have
hmm.
made any processed food has been designed to be hyper palatable, so it excites your brain. So if you think about salad, I guarantee you have zero excitement about it right now. If you think about a banana or an apple or some kale, you have zero excitement. Your brain is probably saying, I would rather eat the fries. You know what I mean? Like you go to
Yeah.
Red Robin and you have a choice between for your side, you can choose fries or you can choose like a vegetable. You could choose broccoli, and I guarantee you, everyone's going. Their brain is telling them fries sound good, but what you don't realize is that little
Hmm.
voice that said fries sound good is actually your dopamine response, and so your brain is being hijacked from the pleasure centers of your brain. That have been constantly triggered throughout your life because you've been eating the standard American diet. You've been basically eating marketing. So they figure out how to
Yeah.
market the foods to your brain to make it so delicious that you have the same response that you would if you were a heroin user. Now, do you really
Oh.
like? Are you happy about that? Are you happy that McDonald's and Quaker Oats and whatever Kellogg's, all those brands out there, Mars Bar, whatever, all those everything that comes in a box, and basically, if your food has a logo, they have paid scientists to figure out how to hijack your brain so that you desire their foods. Don't eat foods with a
Oh.
logo. That's the best advice I could give you. And it takes about 1 to 3 months to bring that dopamine back down. But if you don't like vegetables right now, it's because you can't even taste them. You can't taste them
Yeah.
because it's sort of like if you were to be a heroin addict and then I gave you, a Tylenol or something, it's just like
Hmm.
it's so weak that Tylenol would do nothing for you and you want to go straight for the opium. Uh, but
Yeah.
if you are someone who's never takes pain meds and then I give you a Tylenol, you'll really feel it. You know those people who are like, "Oh, wow, I never drink coffee." And so if they have they eat coffee ice cream, they stay up all night. It's sort of like that. So
Hmm.
it's going to take a few months, but you got to wean yourself off of at basically any food with a logo because they paid scientists to figure out how to hijack your brain. But what happens is once you start to eat vegetables and you stop eating sugar and foods with tons of sugar and tons of salt in it, your palate will change. It takes some time. Your
Hmm.
palate will change, and one day you'll wake up and realize this. this cabbage, like purple cabbage is my absolute favorite. It tastes like candy. It's the most delicious thing in the world. Beets. I love to cut up a beet and add it to a saute. And it's literally candy. It tastes so delicious. Sometimes I kind of feel guilty because it's so good. I feel like I'm eating dessert, not dinner. And
Yeah.
there are some vegetables that will really taste delicious, but first you have to get away from the foods that are so laden with salt and sugar that your brain just doesn't even receive pleasure from real whole foods anymore. So you get away from that and you'll
Yeah.
start to receive pleasures from the vegetables. So my first step for you is get away from foods with logos, eat real food, like one ingredient food. There's broccoli, I'll eat it. There's kale, I'll eat it. There's, bok choy, I'll eat it. Then choose the vegetables that you do appreciate, that you do like. And then I would say get some seasonings you love and get the real stuff. Like buy a thing of garlic if you get a bulb of garlic if you like garlic. Get a thing of ginger if you like ginger. I happen to love Asian flavors, so what I'll do is I'll get a ginger and some green onion, like those little basically it looks like a tiny little onion with a long green shoot on it, and
Yeah.
usually also has little roots. And you chop up that, and then you get some. You crush and then chop up some of the or you can grate some of the ginger. I also will take my ginger and freeze it so I can grate it. It's a lot easier to do it that
Mm,
way. Um,
yeah.
and then just go to town adding playing with those seasonings. You don't need to cook with butter or oil. That's another big thing is you can cook with water or just a little bit of water while you saute, or you can cook with some broth. And because again, what's happened with our food chain is we've salt, oil, and sugar are the three big things that they use to hijack your brain. And
Mm,
we don't actually need to eat oil. A lot of people think, well, how am I going to cook that way? Or doesn't the body need oil? Listen, they say, oh, well, olive oil is so healthy for you. You know what's even healthier than olive oil? Eating olives. I mean, when they make
yeah.
oil, they're removing 99% of all the really healthy things and just extracting fat. And then there's like minuscule amounts of like the medicinal stuff in the oil. But what's even healthier is just going and eating a whole olive. If you want the health benefits
Yeah.
of olive oil, eat the olives. If you want the health benefits of avocado oil, eat the avocado. Go for the whole foods. Avoid any kind of, those Crisco or any kind of vegetable oils. Avoid those and just try to get the actual whole food. You'll see a really big difference in your energy, in your stamina. You'll just feel cleaner and you won't feel sluggish.
Mhm.
You know how if you eat a meal and you feel like you're sort of sluggish, like you could take a nap, you definitely need to make some changes because when you eat this way, you feel like a whole new person. You actually have more energy after your meal. While you're digesting, you have more energy than less. You have more mental
Yeah.
clarity and you have more stamina than less. Um, so it does take a shift. I did notice that because when I ate this way, I was hungry in a few hours. I was thinking, oh man, and my first instinct was to think it's because I didn't eat enough meat or I didn't eat enough fat or what's going on. And then I realized, oh, it's because I could eat an entire bowl of sauteed vegetables with, nuts. I'll throw in some cashews in that saute. It's really delicious. Or some pumpkin seeds. A handful of pumpkin seeds. There's a ton of amazing minerals and nutrients, and also lots of protein in pumpkin seeds. You can throw that on your sauteed vegetables, for example. And you can
Mm.
still have legumes. You can still have brown rice. There's lots of fun things. I make a cheesy rice. I take brown rice and then I mix a bunch of nutritional yeast, which is full of the B vitamins
Mm.
and it has a cheesy flavor. You mix the nutritional yeast in with your brown rice and it is so delicious. Then I can add some like maybe paella seasoning, or some garlic or some ginger, or just leave it because it actually tastes like cheesy rice and it's really delicious. So this way,
Wow.
be okay with experimenting, but know that when you switch this way, if you cut out the oil and you cut out basically oil is processed food. So cut out the processed food, go for whole foods. If you do cut out the meat, you'll notice that you have to eat more at that meal or you have to eat more often. And that's okay because
Mm.
it's really as much as just carrying a banana or an apple in your purse or carrying some nuts. And and just seeing that over time your body changes, where you are living off of less calories, but you're getting what's called more nutrient dense foods. So you're getting more
Mm.
nutrition from less food, from less calories. So your body will actually naturally uh, lose weight, but what you're getting is anti-cancer properties. You're helping your body detox faster. You're giving your body more energy, more nutrition, and you're significantly reducing the load of toxins that you're ingesting because you're no longer eating all these processed foods. I didn't even know I was going to get on this
Mhm.
subject. I guess I'm just so passionate about it.
Yeah. No, no, this has been so great. And yeah, you definitely inspired me. I'm gonna go grocery shopping, pick up a bunch of vegetables after this, I think.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for being here with us and for giving us all this awesome insight. It's been incredible. And yeah, I'd love to have you back sometime to talk about we didn't really get to the anxiety. I know you have a process for eliminating anxiety. So just as a teaser, I'd love to have you back to talk
Absolutely.
about that sometime.
Yes, I'd
For
love to come
sure.
back and teach that. I have an amazing technique that's 100% success rate. I help people eliminate anxiety, and it's a technique that you can apply to your life anytime you have anxiety. In fact, it helps you give an insight into why you experience anxiety. So I'd love to come back and teach that. And
Yeah.
please subscribe to my podcast, Learn True Health. You can find it. It's
Yeah.
#1 in iTunes in the new and noteworthy section in health and in science and medicine, or any podcast directory. I'm in all of them. Or just go to learntruehealth.com. I'd absolutely love to have you guys be listeners. And please reach out to me if you
Yeah.
have any questions. I'm just so passionate about helping as many people as possible to learn true health.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Do you feel like you're missing something? Are you searching for the right answers to solve your health issues? Do you feel like you should have more energy and mental clarity? With everything you're doing for your health, you may be missing one key component. Our body needs 90 essential nutrients every day to function optimally. Because of the farming practices over the last 100 years, most of our food has 60% fewer vitamins and minerals compared to just 50 years ago. So if you aren't eating 8 cups of a variety of fruits and vegetables each day, you may be missing some of your essential nutrients. These are the raw building blocks the body needs to create new healthy tissue, healthy hormones, balanced digestive system, strong muscles, bones and joints, and maintain an optimal functioning nervous system. Especially if you're experiencing more stress, or if you've gone through an illness like an infection, that takes more resources. So if you're not consuming more vitamin C and more of all the 16 vitamins and all the 60 minerals when you're going through more stress, either physical stress, emotional stress, mental stress, those stressors take more nutrients to kind of survive those bumps in the road in life. And over time, that whittles away, that kind of depletes our nutrient tanks, our stores in our body. Without these 90 essential nutrients, things start to break down. Now, you've experienced these breakdowns. Maybe you get migraines, maybe you're exhausted, maybe your hormones are out of balance, your digestion's out of balance, or you have some aches and pains. Maybe you've even been diagnosed with something. You have a series of symptoms, and if those symptoms all look like something, then we can diagnose it, right? That's what MDs can do. MDs will treat these breakdowns with drugs and mask your symptoms. But if your body has a nutrient deficiency, no amount of drugs will fix the problem. 7 years ago, I embarked on a journey to cure my diabetes, infertility, PCOS, high blood pressure, and chronic adrenal fatigue. I felt like I was a mess. Through my research, I found a company that made natural supplements to address these nutrient needs. They formulated their supplements to exceed all standards of quality. Their minerals are the most bioavailable and absorbed by the body that I have ever found. After getting on their protocols for healthy hormones and blood sugar, along with their dietary recommendations for better health, I reversed my type 2 diabetes, I reversed my infertility, I no longer had high blood pressure, my energy and vitality came back, and after 6 years of trying to get pregnant with my husband before we found these supplements, once we got on these supplements, we were able to conceive our wonderful healthy son, who's now 3 years old, and he is amazing, and we would have never had that had we not found this company. Speaking of our son, he's also taking these supplements for optimal health. His pediatrician thinks they're amazing. If you'd like to give these supplements a try and see for yourself if you're experiencing a nutrient deficiency, please go to takeyoursupplements.com. That's takeyoursupplements.com. Their health coaches are phenomenal. I personally know all of them. They're amazing people. And I just want you to know, as my listener, I feel like I need to protect my listeners. I would never promote anything that I didn't 100% believe in and I didn't feel was healthy or good for you. I feel like you're my tribe and I'm sharing this information. In fact, for the last 2 years, the only reason why I've been doing this podcast is so that I can help as many people as possible gain their health back. And so the health coaches at takeyoursupplements.com, I really trust that they will make sure that you're well taken care of. They will work with you to help determine the best protocol for your nutrient needs and work within your budget. They will also help to implement a holistic protocol that includes supporting a healthy diet and lifestyle. Go to takeyoursupplements.com, fill out the form, and one of their health coaches will get back to you really shortly. And then you guys can schedule a time to talk on the phone and they will work with you to help you dial in all your nutrient needs. I really look forward to hearing about your experience with them. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me in our Facebook group. Go to Facebook, search Learn True Health, and join our group. Let me know what you think about the wonderful health coaches at takeyoursupplements.com. And by the way, when you go to takeyoursupplements.com and you get assigned to a health coach, they're your health coach. You're not going to keep getting a different person every time. You get one person and they work with you and they hold your hand for months down the road. They're there for you to support you month after month while you're on your nutrient protocol, and they're helping you dial in your nutrient needs. They're really wonderful like that. So I know you'll enjoy your experience with them, and I'd love to hear about your experience with them. Please feel free to, you can email me as well, ashley@learntruehealth.com. I love hearing success stories. Like I said, I've been working with a supplement company for my own health for the last 7 years, and I've reversed so many issues. I love sharing this information because I think that many of you will be able to resolve your issues with nutrition, just like I've seen many people do. With that said, go to takeyoursupplements.com, fill out your information, and a health coach is very excited to start working with you and helping you get your health back.